So this video is a journey through trauma using Koichi Shikishima from Godzilla Minus One as a model for the different stages that someone going through trauma might face. So here we go. Come along with me as I take you through this little journey. We start with the inciting incident, where Koichi Shikishima is frozen in his aircraft while Premutation Godzilla is staring him down. And this is the moment that branded the trauma into his brain. And just look at his expression. You know, his eyes are wide open, his mouth is slack, he's just completely frozen in terror. And he was supposed to fire his gigantic gun at Godzilla and scare him away or hurt him enough that everybody could escape, and everybody was depending on him. And he let them down. He froze. And Godzilla went on to kill everybody except for Tachibana, you know, the aircraft mechanic on the island at the same time. But this is the moment where it all began. This is a man experiencing something that cannot be explained, that he feels guilty for surviving, and that he wishes with all of his heart that he could forget, but he can't. Because if he forgets this, he forgets all the men who died because he didn't fire. That's hard. And here we have Shikishima when he sees post-mutation Godzilla for the first time, and his eyes are wide open just like they were before. You know, his forehead's kind of wrinkled under his hat. You can't see that, but you can tell by where his eyebrows are. And his mouth is not slack. His jaw is clenched. He's baring his teeth and he's gripping onto the gun on the back of the boat that, you know, they're going to shoot down the mines that are in the water, and they just got a mine in Godzilla's mouth, and Shikishima is shooting at Godzilla, and he's starting to freeze up, but he doesn't want to, because he knows if he doesn't stop Godzilla here, that Godzilla can go on to kill more people. So he's terrified, he's triggered, he doesn't want to be here, but he has to be here. He can't go anywhere. He's on a boat. He can't just run. There's nowhere to run. So he has no choice but to try to fight. And, well, he does try, and it doesn't go well, but this is his second time seeing Godzilla, and his decision is try to fight, but oh my god, I don't want to. And his hands were shaking, but he managed to aim that gun. He took his shot. He tried. He really tried. But he's facing it. But there's consequences. There's always consequences. The third time the Shikishima encounters Godzilla is in Ginza. Now here's where it's really hard, because he's screaming. His eyes are squinted shut. He is being rained down with black radioactive rain. He's surrounded by ruin. And what happened was he wanted to tell the government to warn the people. He wanted to say, hey, there's danger. The government wanted to keep it quiet so the people wouldn't panic. And this happens to a lot of trauma survivors. He wanted to warn people of the danger that was going to come because he knew what the consequences were going to be. He wasn't listened to. Godzilla came to Ginza. He blew everything up. And Shikishima was the only one who survived the incident. And it's exactly the same thing that happened on Odo Island. And all he could do was fall to his knees and scream. And he screams, and it is a gut-wrenching scream from the depths of a tortured soul. He's in pain, and it happened again. it happened again. The trauma happened again, and it took everything. Everything. So it's yet another mark on his soul. It's more pain. It's more anguish. It's more of not being listened to. And that's a hard place to be when you're facing trauma. And here we have Shikishima finally facing down Godzilla on somewhat even ground, in the sense that he's in his airplane. This airplane that has been basically pulled out of the junkyard and put back together and assembled into a weapon. And his expression is so different here. You know, his jaw is clenched, his head is down, he's looking out the tops of his eyes, and his eyes are just so hard. There is so much rage, so much determination. This is a man who isn't sure if he's going to live or die, but he just knows he has to face this monster, or more people are going to die. And if that means his death, then he's okay with it. But it won't be his death the way he thinks it is. It will be a death, but the death of who he was before all of this happened. This is a man determined to face his monster. This is a man determined to take his monster down. And it's a hard place to be, but this is who he is when he's climbing up out of that abyss of depression that he's been in for the entire movie. This is Shikishima ready to fight. And this is Shikishima when his war is over. This is Shikishima realizing there's a life beyond the trauma that he's been facing this entire movie. This is Shikishima overcome with the emotion of realizing he can survive and he can live. And it's a powerful moment because it's a moment that all trauma survivors have when we realize there's life beyond it. And this is what it can look like. He's crying, his mouth is pulled, his eyes are squinting, there's tears on his face. And he's kind of smiling. It's like he doesn't know what to feel. There's just so much emotion happening all at once, and he is just overcome. But there's life beyond trauma, and he's realizing it. He can see a future again. He has a future again. This is amazing. It makes you want to fall to your knees with him, doesn't it? But this is Shikishima, the survivor. The thing with Godzilla Minus One is it's a movie, so Shikishima's journey has to have an end, because there's that final scene, the screen goes black, the credits roll, the story's over. But real life doesn't work that way. And when you're a trauma survivor, the thing is that you may move through all these different stages on various days. Heck, you might go through them all in a single day, in a single hour, in a single moment. But the point is that we keep going. We keep fighting. We keep facing our monsters. We keep being kind to ourselves. We keep seeking that life beyond trauma. And it won't be the life we had before the trauma. You can never go back to who you were before you had trauma. But you can be a survivor. And you can fight through your trauma and live with it and continue to survive despite it. And it will change you. And there are going to be days where it really sucks. I'm not going to lie. There are days where it really sucks. And you've got to use all your coping skills, and you still are just fighting for every breath you take. But keep breathing anyway. Just like Shikishima did. You keep breathing and you face your Godzilla. And either you shoot him down or you hug him or whatever you do with that Godzilla that is within you terrorizing you. I choose to love mine. I've got two of them. But you're going to move through all these stages at various points in your journey, and that is okay. It is okay to have a day where you're on your knees screaming. It's okay to have a day where you're frozen. It's okay to have a day where you are determined to get through it no matter what is thrown at you. So keep surviving. You're worth it. And don't do it alone. If you can get help, get help. But you're a survivor and you're worth it. And I love you. Bye-bye.